everyone, I am now Norris Yama from NIOJ. Are you aware of the usefulness of the reconstructed bispectrum? I will summarize my research on the post-reconstruction bispectrum in 3 minutes from now. Those watching this video, please feel free to stream it in archive seminars and the like. Since I am summarizing my research as the author, it should be the most accurate explanation. Let's get started.
Extracting as much information as possible from observed data is the supreme proposition in the field of observational cosmology. When spectroscopic galaxy data are obtained, the power spectrum is measured first. To obtain more cosmological information than the power spectrum offers, research on the bispectrum has been actively conducted. Furthermore, there is significant interest in post-reconstruction power spectra, which partially feed back information from higher-order statistics. However, the post-reconstruction bispectrum has not received much attention. It is known that statistical errors in the bispectrum are dominated by non-Gaussian errors, which can be up to 3 times larger than Gaussian errors depending on the scale. Importantly, reconstruction methods dramatically reduce these non-Gaussian errors. Therefore, if we are interested in signals that do not change before and after reconstruction, such as primordial non-Gaussianity, the use of the post-reconstruction bispectrum is highly beneficial because it reduces errors only. In this study, we propose a theoretical model of the post-reconstruction bispectrum, including the resumation of infrared IR effects, aimed at actual data analysis. Since the reconstruction method was originally proposed to emphasize the signal of baryon acoustic oscillations, BAO, accurately describing the post-reconstruction BAO signal should be the first goal in model construction. We achieve this by resumming IR effects. Moreover, by adding one-loop level correction terms, our model can also describe the shapes on smaller scales. Our model is the first to successfully include partial non-perturbative effects in the post-reconstruction bispectrum beyond the standard perturbation theory. Our model is based on the wiggle-no-wiggle decomposition, which splits the linear power spectrum into parts that include and do not include baryon acoustic oscillations. The wiggle part decays with scale due to IR effects. This decay effect is described using a 2-dimensional Gaussian-type exponential decay function when including redshift distortion effects. The bispectrum is decomposed into 3 parts in the wiggle-no-wiggle decomposition: the square of the wiggle part, the product of the wiggle and no-wiggle parts, and the square of the no-wiggle part. The first term involves the product of 3 decay functions depending on K1, K2, and K3. The second term involves the square of an exponential decay function depending on K1. No decay function appears in the last term. Moreover, our model includes one-loop level correction terms for each of these 3 terms to represent small-scale shapes.
Using this model, I plan to conduct post-reconstruction bispectrum analysis in the future. Those interested are welcome to contact me. Let's work together. Thank you for your attention. In the next 8 minutes, I will explain how to construct a resolution model for the IR effects in the bispectrum. If you are interested in the technical details, please stay with me for the following 8 minutes.
What exactly is the IR effect? The IR effect refers to nonlinear effects that emerge from scales much larger than the scale of interest. In the context of density fluctuations, the IR effect is described as a translational transformation of spatial coordinates due to displacement vectors. During this process, density fluctuations are redefined as short wavelength modes. If short wavelength density fluctuations and long wavelength displacement vectors were completely uncorrelated, the IR effect would cancel out entirely. However, such extreme situations do not realistically occur. Remember that the incompleteness of this IR effect cancellation becomes crucial in describing the non-linear evolution of the BAO signal. Reconstruction methods construct a displacement vector, the S vector, from density fluctuations and move particles accordingly. In our previous papers, we have shown that the IR effect can still be described as a translational transformation even after reconstruction. This means that the handling of the IR effect does not change before and after reconstruction. In other words, the theoretical model of the bispectrum after reconstruction that we construct can be applied in the same functional form as before reconstruction. However, the specific form of the nonlinear kernel function needs to be modified before and after reconstruction. It might seem trivial that the handling of the IR effect does not change before and after reconstruction, but that is not the case at all. To explain this, consider the Zeldovich approximation. The Zeldovich approximation linearizes the displacement vector and is known to appropriately include the IR effect before reconstruction. However, this rationale does not necessarily hold after reconstruction because the S vector required for reconstruction is constructed from density fluctuations, which itself carries nonlinear IR effects. In other words, the Zeldovich approximation after reconstruction cannot fully extract the IR effect. To handle the IR effect after reconstruction, it is necessary to treat the S vector without linearizing it. By properly considering the IR effect contained within the S vector, it can be shown that the IR effect can still be described as a translational transformation even after reconstruction. Before discussing the bispectrum, let's first consider the case of the power spectrum. To construct an IR-resummed model, it is crucial to decompose the nonlinear power spectrum into terms with and without mode coupling integrals. This is because the mode coupling integrals smooth out and suppress the BAO signal. On the other hand, the main contribution of the BAO signal comes from terms without mode coupling integrals. For intuitive understanding, let me explain using a simple diagram. The power spectrum can be represented by a line connecting two different points. At each point, there is what's called a vertex loop, which has a three-dimensional integral of the wave vector. As the number of wave vectors integrated increases, we get one loop, two loop, three loop, and so on, with more circles added. When focusing only on IR effects and summing up the contributions of vertex loops to infinity, we get a Gaussian exponential decay function, d. Although we are summing an infinite number of loops, for simplicity, only a one-loop diagram is shown here in red line. Of course, the other vertex also has infinite loop integrals, one loop, two loop, three loop, and so on, resulting in the appearance of the Gaussian decay function, d. Therefore, terms without mode coupling integrals have a Gaussian decay function. Mode coupling integrals are represented by adding lines connecting two different points. When summing loop integrals due to mode coupling integrals to infinity, if only IR effects are extracted, it can be described by the inverse of the square of the Gaussian decay function, that is, an exponential growth function. The -1 inch appears because the contribution without mode coupling integrals is being subtracted. Taking into account the vertex loop, the mode coupling term can be described as 1 minus the square of the d function. As it stands, all IR effects cancel out, leaving only the linear power spectrum. This is precisely the cancellation of IR effects. However, remember that mode coupling integrals smooth out the BAO signal. To incorporate this effect, the linear power spectrum appearing in the mode coupling integrals is replaced with a no-wiggle power spectrum, which does not contain BAOs. As a result, a template model often used in BAO analysis is derived, where only the BAO signal, the wiggle part, is multiplied by an exponential decay function. This result does not change before and after reconstruction. The model can also be extended to include one-loop correction terms. The IR-resummed model, obtained by applying IR resumation techniques and the wiggle-no-wiggle decomposition to the power spectrum, has been proposed in various approaches for over a decade before reconstruction. The method introduced here was proposed by myself in 2013, but there are other approaches that lead to similar results. Furthermore, in my recent paper, by showing that the IR effects after reconstruction can be treated similarly to before reconstruction, it has been demonstrated that the IR-resummed model can be obtained up to the one-loop level for the post-reconstruction power spectrum. Finally, building on the calculation methods for the power spectrum, I will explain the IR-resummed model in the context of the bispectrum. Similar to the case of the power spectrum, we decompose the bispectrum into 5 terms using mode coupling integrals. Each term will be explained using diagrams. The bispectrum can be represented by 2 lines connecting 3 points. The simplest case is the tree-level bispectrum, which arises from the product of 1 second-order fluctuation and 2 first-order fluctuations. The first term involves no mode coupling integrals and occurs when each of the 3 vertices has a vertex loop. Summing up an infinite number of vertex loops results in the appearance of 3 exponential damping functions, which depend on the 3 wave vector vectors k1, k2, and k3. Next, we consider a case where one line does not involve a mode coupling integral, but the other does. In this case, by summing up an infinite number of mode coupling integrals that only extract IR effects, the mode coupling integral is represented as an exponential function e, depending on k2 and k3 through displacement vectors. Moreover, this e function can be represented as the product of two exponential growth functions and one exponential decay function. Taking into account the effects of the three vertex loops, the second term can be described solely using exponential decay functions. The third term is similar to the second one, where multiple Gaussian decay functions are multiplied by the tree-level bispectrum. The fourth case arises when mode coupling integrals are present on both lines. This term can be calculated in a similar manner to the second and third terms, but it is noteworthy that it includes an exponential growth function. The fifth involves a mode coupling integral term that closes the triangle. Also, it contains an exponential growth function. The fourth and fifth terms, consisting solely of mode coupling integrals, do not primarily contribute to BAO. Furthermore, they diverge at small scales due to the exponential growth function. However, when these terms are combined, the terms containing the exponential growth function cancel out, converging to the tree-level bispectrum at small scales. Thus, by focusing only on IR effects, we can uncover interesting properties of non-perturbative effects in the bispectrum. As long as we extract only the IR effects, all IR effects cancel out, leaving only the tree-level bispectrum. This is a practical example of IR cancellation in three-point statistics. To consider the effect of the smoothed BAO signal by mode coupling integrals, we replace the linear power spectrum appearing in the mode coupling integration with a power spectrum without BAO. Ultimately, we obtain the IR-resummed model of the bispectrum at tree level, which is valid both before and after reconstruction. Moreover, this approach can be extended to include one-loop correction terms, leading to our main results. The IR-resumation technique introduced here was applied to the pre-reconstruction tree-level bispectrum in Sugiyama et al., 2021. Our results extend it to include one-loop correction terms and further to the post-reconstruction case. As a different approach, the IR-resummed model for the pre-reconstruction bispectrum has been derived using time-sliced perturbation theory, TSPT. Our model is very similar to the TSPT approach, but it has slight differences in the shape of the exponential decay function that appears in the square of the wiggle part. More specifically, our model includes a new term where the inner product of vectors k1 and k2 appears in the exponential function. Providing a detailed mathematical proof of this difference is beyond the scope of this study. If anyone is interested, please do not hesitate to contact us. Let's discuss further.
Thank you for your attention so far. On this channel, I will be presenting my latest research. I hope it will help those who are interested in my work to better understand my papers. If you would like to collaborate on research, please do not hesitate to contact me. Let's meet again soon. Bye bye.